Hello everyone, this is going to be your reading for the full moon in Aries, which is occurring on September 29th of 2023, 5:57 a.m. Eastern Time, but times will vary. This is a psychic or intuitive astrology reading, so while I do base it in astrology, I'm definitely going to be getting downloads and messages from my guides as we go through the reading. It is a reading for the collective, for the overall energetic influence. So it's not a sign by sign thing. There's plenty of that kind of thing on my chart, but I like to just do the overall influence on these types of readings. Before we get started, I want to let you know that you are watching me, the Rock and Roll Prophetess, on YouTube, and you can find all the information about me at vickieverlie.com. Do not be pulled by imposters. Also, if you enjoy this content, I would love it if you would subscribe. Alright, so here it is. It's the full moon in Aries at 6 degrees 00 of Aries. Now, while it's not conjunct, but the other Aries energy that's going on at this time is that we do have this Chiron North Node energy really closing in there. It's not going to be exact, I think, until maybe next spring even. It's a ways off, but we're starting to feel the impact, of it. And this is being called to healing on a grand scale is what the guides are coming through with. So healing on a grand scale. And within ourselves, you know, and the Aries energy is always first house, me, myself, and I. So healing within ourselves to, you know, enhance the whole collective, because of course the South Node and then the Sun, the Moon and the Sun, makes the full moon. There's the other part of it, the other component is the Libra part of the energy. But I feel like overall the biggest download or the biggest message that I really got out of this was this Aries, full moon in Aries. While not conjunct, this nodal thing, it's quite a few degrees away. Conjunct meaning the same degree within a few degrees. It's making us aware, because the full moon always shines a light on, makes us aware. And I feel like it's making us aware of what really needs to be healed, so we can start implementing it, we can start to take action. So by the time, I believe it's again next spring, when we get into the Aries season, around that time next spring, and this conjunction is really tight in there, hopefully we have initiated the healing, or we've at least pinpointed it. We've at least pinpointed it or figured out within ourselves, because the Aries again is ourselves, the individual. We've figured out, well, this is the area of my life that I need to really work on healing and really work on myself. It's always not about pointing the finger with the Aries energy. You know, it's about pointing the finger right back at you yourself, you know, and saying, okay, well, what can I do? What can I, the full moon is usually not a great time to initiate, although Aries is the sign of initiating, starting new beginnings, because it is the first sign of the zodiac. So they are great initiators, the Aries energy. That's their job. That's what they do well. That's what they do best, is initiate. So the full moon is kind of a dichotomy on that respect, because the full moon is not about initiating, it's culmination, but it's also, again, this shining the light on. A lot of times when we take a look at ourselves, there's things that we need to eliminate. You know, and the full moon is a great time, or it initiates the waning moon. This is a great time to release. And what are we going to release? What are we going to shed and release to make ourselves a better individual, to make the way we show up in the world as an individual better, more powerful? The guides are coming through with profounder. Is that even a word? I think it would be more profound. But they're coming through with profounder. Okay, there's a name for a band, huh? Band name, Profounder. But anyway, it kind of reminds me of Sounder the dog for some reason, that sad story of Sounder the dog. But anyways, yeah. So it's like, well, what am I going to? What can I do? What have I contributed to the problem, or how have because a lot of people, I think, are feeling kind of stuck right now too. Like, we're kind of feeling stuck because of all the retrograde energy. So I feel stuck. What can I do to get myself unstuck? Not really pointing the finger over here, it's, well, their fault and it's because of this or that happened outside of myself. It's going to shine this really big light on what you can do. Like they keep saying, to thy known self be true. But you know, being true with the node, you want to be true to your soul mission, not to what the ego mind wants. You know, it's more along those lines. And when you are true to your soul mission, that's when everything's usually will start falling into place, right? So it's very powerful. The other thing is, you know, there's always a positive and negative. Because it's Aries and it's the god of war, you know, it could be some kind of big blow up with the full moon energy. It could be, you know, I'm mad as hell and I'm not taking it anymore. It's opposing all the Libra energy, so it could be stuff that's going on in partnerships. It could be like, you know, I've really had enough of this crap, and you might just blow your top or lose it. You know, that could be the case. But if you feel yourself kind of going in that direction, you know, maybe it's like, well, why am I so... Turn it back to yourself. That's always the thing with the Aries. Turn it back to yourself. So why does that trigger me so much? Why does that get me so riled up? What is it in me that needs to be healed so that nothing outside of me can, you know, dare, like they're showing me like defending your peace. Defender, be the, you know, the warrior for peace, being the warrior of defending your own peace and not letting any outside interference or static, you know, disrupt that, you know. I'm looking over here, and we've got this, well, the thing that grabbed me right off, there's a few things, but this grabbed me right off. This Venus-Juno is right on at 22 degrees, master number 22, in the sign of Leo, in the 5th house, and, well, it's the 5th house because I'm using a flat wheel, disregard that, I guess, but, you know, but anyways, you know, the Venus-Juno with the Leo energy, so powerful, so right on, so joyous, fun, beauty, because Juno was the queen of the gods, and she was, you know, so known for her great beauty, and also her great grace and dignity, okay? I believe. That's what's coming through now anyways, because that's the highest expression of the Leo energy. There is that regal thing, you know, there is that grace, dignity, rulership with grace, rulership with not an iron fist, but a, you know, with a, they're showing me a fist, like an iron fist holding a rose, so I don't know if that's just something special for somebody, but to me it gets like, I'm firm, but I'm gentle and caring and loving, and you know, gracious. Gracious would be the word that I want to come through with. There's an opportunity for a lot of grace and a lot of graciousness coming through with this Juno Venus conjunction in the sign of Leo. But also just have a lot of fun. Creativity and expressions of beauty are, you know, abound, is what the guides are saying. So that's, you know, that's really powerful. And you know, it's squaring up with this Jupiter-Uranus almost conjunction. It's a little wide orb, but they're hanging together. You know, they're hanging together over here. And it's also trining and sextiling with the nodes at 24 degrees. So again, we're being called to our fate. We're being called to our highest calling. But with the Jupiter-Uranus, again, this just could be in strange and magical and wonderful ways that this whole thing could come about. Unexpected, magical things, magical ways, outside of the norm, you know, outside of the Taurus, what's grounded in reality, what we can see every day, what is, you know, fixed energy, what is this earthly condition almost, you know. This Jupiter-Uranus wants to expand that, wants us to see beyond our earthly constraints, our earthly narrow points of view. And, you know, it could be disruptive. The Aries full moon could be disruptive, no doubt about it. But it could be oh so enlightening, and oh so freeing, and oh so freedom from these bondages of our own narrow-mindedness. Because, not that Aries are narrow-minded, but they can have blinders on. You know, when they see something, they want to go after it, and they don't, you know, they don't listen. There's no caution. They're just, you know, which is great, and that's again needed in this world, and it's a positive thing. But the Taurus wants to be real slow and deliberate, so we're combining those two energies, which can be really volatile too. I took a class or something a long time ago, or something I read about that whole Venus-Taurus energy being so combustible, or, you know, and they cited, I think, no, it was Hitler was one, and I think Mussolini was the other one, where it can erupt in this, you know, this sort of, this, you know, eruption of power or abuse of power. You know, it can be so powerful that it can be kind of used in, you know, ways that aren't great. But, you know, I don't really feel that all that strong with this, but there is this thing that's wanting to erupt, or maybe burst into the world, or shine a light on. And the reason, one of the reasons that I want to say that it may not be so, oh so disruptive, is because the Mars, which is the ruler of the Aries, the god of war and all that, is in Libra. So when Mars is in Libra, it's kind of, it'll downplay that impulse. You know, it's that exact opposite. It's the exact opposite of the Aries energy, right? So go, go, go. And Libra's, let's weigh the scales, let's deliberate, let's find the peaceful solution. So that may not be the case, that it would be, you know, some kind of anger, you know, expressing in an anger or warlike manner, but more maybe in a peaceful kind of flow manner, you know. The other thing is here, when we look at that Mars, it is sextiling this Jupiter thing here, you know, the Jupiter-Juno. So definitely the relationship stuff could be turning up. And it's, you know, the South Node in Libra, lovers from the past could be showing up for sure. You know, that's been a theme that's been going on a long time. It's kind of like we're reaching the conclusion of this big shift, of this big transition of ages. You know, the ages are being shifted. And it's almost like we're reviewing, well, with the Aries energy, you know, we could take it as we're reviewing the way to use the energy, perhaps, is reviewing the part that we played in it. But what I was getting to, what I was going for before I jumped to that, was that, you know, these different affiliations, and affiliations are being broken during these times, you know. And a lot of it is, you know, drama and tribalism and politics and a lot of that kind of stuff, yeah. But a lot of it is just that we've outgrown people. And it doesn't make them bad or, you know, wrong necessarily. It's just like, yeah, I just don't feel that way anymore. I've outgrown that dichotomy. I've outgrown that group. I've outgrown that. And it would be a dichotomy for me to stay in where I don't really fit in anymore. You know, you can't, you've just outgrown, they're talking about outgrown those britches. Which, if you're not familiar, I do know what it means. It's an old-timey word for pants, like a pair of pants that you would wear, breeches. Getting too big for your breeches, maybe that's what they're saying. But yeah, with the Aries energy, it could be a little bit of the blown-up ego. Too big for your breeches is a term meaning you're getting a little bit, the ego's getting a little bit in check. You know, you got to check that ego. But where was I going with this? But also, you know, forging new relationships. There was another second point that I wanted to make that came through. I doubled back and lost it. Dang. Well, that happens sometimes. Maybe it'll come back. But yeah, relationships are going to be important, you know, at this time. Let's take a look at the Saturn as reflectors back to yourself and mirroring your own stuff, you know. Let's take a look at this aspect here. We've got Mercury trining Uranus. Okay, where's the Mercury at? I keep wanting to go over there, but it's over here in the sign of Virgo. Yeah, Mercury's trining Uranus and the Jupiter and that, and then it's got the Lilith conjunction too. So, I mean, you could. That could be a thing, because Lilith, you know, she doesn't take any crap from anybody. You know, Lilith can be a little bit of that flying off the handle, or a little bit. Virgo is not aggressive, but Virgo notices every little thing, you know. And then when I just said that, I heard, every little thing is gonna be alright. Don't worry. Yeah. Alright, so that's cool, but in the meantime, you know, to get to where every little thing is gonna be alright, you know, scrutinizing these details and your mind being really right on with scrutinizing. If there's some kind of detailed work that you need to do, where if you're more on the psychic spiritual realm like I am, more, I think it's the right brain, isn't it? If you're more right-brained, And that kind of stuff is just like pull your hair out. Oh God, I dread it. I hate doing that stuff. This would be a good time to maybe get in there and figure it out. You know, because your brain would be locked in to really, you know, be able to understand it, and maybe through the Jupiter-Uranus, like have some kind of big enlightenment about it. You know, like time saving, like, oh, I could building a better mousetrap, doing something in a better way, figuring out a better way or an easier way in the long term to do these kind of tedious tasks or that have to be done. Or the things that you're grappling with, perhaps, that you're having a hard time figuring out. Anything else that's on the aspectarian that I'm missing? Let's see. Well, Mercury trine Uranus, Venus square Uranus. Yeah, we talked about that. Mars opposed the node. Yeah, we talked about that. Venus sextile Mars. We talked about that. Uranus, Neptune, sextile Pluto. That's been long term. We talked about that a lot. Pluto squaring the nodes. We talked about that a lot. Yeah. So a lot going on. The Aries full moon, though, again, always wants to, especially because we've got this North Node Chiron in that sign. You know, it's trying to show us where we need to heal ourselves, because that's always the thing. You really can't do anything else about any other buddy. You know. You could try, and you could ask nicely, and, you know, Libra, ask nicely, and most of the time that's really not going to do anything. That's another thing, though, with the Aries moon, full moon. People can be a little more self-centered and less considerate of others, so you got to, you know, watch that. But if you're on the spiritual path, like I think a lot of people that watch my video and videos like this are, you know, I feel like, you know, it's like, you know, take a look at yourself. How can you change your habits, behaviors? What can you do in any given situation, whether it's things that piss you off or not? Just, you know, instead of expecting other people to handle it or figure it out or change or whatever, bring it, you know, pull it back in, bring it back into yourself and say, well, what can I do to change? And how have anything that's outside of you, getting those realizations of how have I contributed to that? That's, I think, some of the biggest energy that is really around this, you know. How did I contribute to the situation that is getting my dander up, you know, that is pushing my buttons? Do I have to let it push my buttons? Can I redirect this? Because anger is kind of like passion too. Mars energy rules over anger, passion, and Mars is the ruler of Aries, which is the whole, you know, first house Aries, Mars. They're all a similar energy, right? So the Mars energy is anger and passion. So how can I take, when I'm feeling this rush or this charge or this red, you know, root chakra, this Kundalini chakra firing up down there, how can I, without, you know, it could be possibly, not probably, let's say possibly, in something that you're getting angry about or that's aggravating or angry. How can I redirect this energy? Because I've got all this Mars energy, and redirect it towards something that's going to be really positive, for myself, and for others as well. The positive energy for everyone involved, but initiating from me, without expecting anything from anybody else necessarily. But if it's a good idea, others may join in, you know. Or if you set that precedence, others may follow suit. You know, I was just talking about this, when the Obamas were in office, you know, when they go low, we go high. You know, those are good words to live by there. And there, by the way, too, I don't remember, one of the recent videos I was talking about people, and when I run the bar and I had all those people, I would watch their, you know, that's why I learned a lot about astrology, at least sun sign astrology, just watching. I knew everybody's sign that came in. Like, they say, oh, you remember John? I go, what's his sign? Oh, the Libra. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. You know, I would remember their sign more readily than I could remember their names, Or I remember what they drank too. If you're a bartender, you get that one. You know, what are you talking about? Oh, you know, the Jameson's on the rocks guy. Oh yeah, him. Okay. But anyways, back to what I was talking about. I was a few videos ago, a recent video, I was talking about how you'll see Capricorns and Leos often. I've seen the relationships work out for the long haul, and I brought up, well, they both like nice things in life, and they're both willing to work hard to get them. You know, they both like to have, you know, they like status, prestige, and things like that. But then I remember the classic example is the Obamas. I believe he's a Leo and she's a Capricorn. So there you go. And look at there. I mean, they've got, well, I mean, nobody knows for sure, you know, what's going on behind closed doors, but they've made it work for how, you know, they seem, by all appearances, seem to have a great marriage, you know, and it's a long-lasting, solid marriage, you know, and that is that Capricorn and Leo energy working together. So it can work. Of course, you got to look at a lot of other stuff, you know. And, you know, if you are interested in relationships reading, I do have that soulmate reading, but it's more of a past life stuff. Yeah, but anyways, I'm talking about readings also. This is going to be like the end of the road here for these eclipse readings. I know the eclipses don't happen in October, but I think I'm going to wind them down to the end of September. I'll stop offering the eclipse readings because in October, I'm going to start on my year ahead readings, which is always so. I don't really want to be switching back and forth from year ahead to eclipse readings during October. That's going to be a little bit too much for me. So if you did want to get in on the eclipse reading, then hey, you got another week or so to get in on that. Or, well, actually like 2 weeks from when I'm recording the video. And then, or if you want, you know, you like the year ahead, that's going to probably start in October. But I think I'm going to at least stop the eclipse readings at the end of September, just so I can get my head around the year ahead, and just kind of, even if I don't start them up right then, I'm going to kind of get geared up to start them up, you know, so that's what's going on. Yeah, but you know, here it is, this new moon in, full moon in Aries. Big time, it's the moon is holding up this big kind of mirror or looking glass, like the guides are saying, asking us to look at ourselves, asking us, I'm getting the Michael Jackson, looking at the man in the mirror, I'm asking him to change his ways. If you want to make the world a better place, then look at yourself and make that change. Okay, everybody. Hey, remember, you are love and beauty incarnate. Have a great full moon in Aries, and we'll talk again soon.